Okay, so in the first part of this video, I was talking about what I've been doing with the platform design and how I've sort of gone through different iterations to arrive where we are right now. And I also glued the first part of the platform together, the box section, which is the most rigid part of the structure. And I've let that go off all day so that I could then come back, complete this bit of video and put the rest of the components together on this and see if the concept actually has any merit moving forward. Now, I'm going to take the weights off. We're going to get the rest of it glued up. And I'm giving you also a few thoughts that I've had during the course of the day that I've already considered that might well improve the kit or the structure for the next iteration. And there's going to be one or two more, I'm sure. So let's get on. Let's turn this camera down. Let's get the weights off and let's get the rest of this put together. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to take the weights off now so we can carry on with this. Put them over there out the way for a moment. And this has glued up very, very nicely. The weights have kept it nice and solid. There's no dampness that have caused it to warp, which is obviously the very thing that can happen with MDF, especially 2mm MDF. It's very, very thin material in many regards and can warp at a drop of a hat. You can also see here, these little white marks here in different places are where I put the tabs to stop the items when they've been cut and engraved from falling through to the bottom and burning and causing an issue. So, okay, what I need to do now is to consider how I might deal with this when it's actually being used on the layout. Now, I could just form a whole load of these boxes up and not worry about the end plates straight away, although I could do that. I could make sure that these have got the walls that in the next version of this, I'm going to build a little wall here, not too dissimilar to maybe this one. In fact, it could well be one of these that will go on there like so. Just a little bit smaller so that the top piece does not sit proud. Or does it? Maybe I'm not thinking this thing through. There we go. Let's just put that there for a moment and pretend that that is as we want it to be. And how might this then sit on here? Because we've got the top, of course, that's going to go on there. Then that would sit very nicely. So just by printing a few more of those little braces off, I could actually have something. I think it needs to be just ever so slight, so a little bit of a kick there. So I think ever so slightly smaller on this part here, just a little bit smaller. Because what I wanted to do was have a situation where this section is separate to this section until I actually put them together. And simply I can make those holes line up for any wiring should I need to. Put that on there. And it may be that it still kicks ahead a little bit. Or does it? No, I actually think it was those two little... Yeah, I think that's absolutely perfect. I think it was just the two tabs that allowed it to kick up enough and create that proud spot. But that is pretty much good to go. So I think in the next version that I do, there will be more of these tabs, well, certainly two more here and here to allow for a rear wall to be put in. And it will be no wider than the box like that. That's perfect. In fact, what I might do is just make it as wide as the box. And I think that will serve to allow me to put the corner sections, these sections, to it like that. When I come to put the real piece in, that will be going on there. So I want to make a rigid structure of this part. And I have one made. So I'm going to have to redesign the next cut to allow for two. All right, enough is enough. So the idea is that I'm going to put this all together now just to make sure that everything fits as I want it to. I'm also going to lightly engrave on the next one exactly the correct spacing for these. These have been put in randomly, but they will need to be put in properly. I also feel that I'm going to tab them as I first intended. Only I'm going to make the tab slots just a wee bit wider so that they don't have a problem. Maybe, and this is a thought, that maybe I do not glue the top on. I'm going to for this part, but maybe I don't glue the top on. Maybe I put magnets to it. I magnetize the top. That's an idea. And I think that will be a good idea, because what I can do is I can put in some little blocks in here that I can glue some neodymium magnets to, and or on the underside of the wood, I think probably on there, and then put some metal magnetized or metallized tape to the underside of the platform. Not so much that it makes it rise, just make everything work so that it's the correct height, so that the block is here, the neodymium comes just about underneath, and you put a bit of tape there so that when you snap it together, the platform will stay where you want it, but you can also take it off in the future to do any maintenance wiring jobs without having to destroy the box or the look of the whole platform. I think that's quite a neat idea. Good. I enjoy my weathering on my locomotives and on the scenery when I ever get there. And in fact, I just recently got back into my weathering. I just put my airbrushing stuff down in the studio, down in the garage where the old Sandling Junction used to live, and that's given me more freedom. And for that reason, I just did a little weathering job just to get my hand back in on an old 4F, I think it's a Fowler 060, something like that. Right, now what I was telling you before about getting this lined up would be easier with some guidelines put in. At the moment it's a little bit hit and miss as to where these go. So what I'm going to do to that is I'm going to put two pieces in here just to see where that is. Yeah, I think the biggest thing I need to do is make the box ever so slightly smaller. These are just a little bit too proud. And what I've done is I've made the side walling, which is that, and then I've made a 2mm corbel, which will be not this burnt one but this one, and that will glue up under there. And when you do that, I think I'll make you see that. When you've done that, then that is pretty much just more proud than that, and that shouldn't be the case. So I'm going to have to shorten the box in the next version. Whilst I'm waiting for that to go off, let's just see if I can't make this happen at the same time. And I've got to work this out. Now I am going to be using that spare end piece, and I may have another one as well from the first kit that I put together. I'm going to put that, this does need to be wider, so it's not true to the size it should be, and it's a little bit unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Come there, so does that hit there? About there maybe. I'm just going to put a little mark just for my own bit. I've got to do this with a rule. I don't think I need to put a smaller one in. I'm just going to leave it that. I'll rest that on there. Now I think we're pretty much good to go. I'm quite happy with that. I don't know if you can see that. I can hold that up with seeing through it. but hopefully I've got those in the right place, otherwise I don't drop them. Okay, so as a component that works, but it does need this to be absolutely 90 degrees, or else you're going to end up with a gap on each occasion. And I think that works fine. I mean, any gap here, you're going to see some sort of gap on a joint. You can't not, to be fair. And I think that you can actually model that away at some point in the future. So that's where these are. Right, okay, so that was a bit of a muck about, and I am just going to now glue up the bricks on the outer. Now this could be a plain siding if you wanted to apply paper. Okay, so I found this section and it had no tabs either, so that's why it was on the bottom of the tray. I hadn't noticed it, but not a problem. And we'll make sure in the next version that the tabs are correctly put on. So that's adding a little bit more weight to the whole thing. Very firm structure. Like it. It's coming on very, very nicely. I'm so pleased. Okay, a little bit of fresh glue, because I would like to put the corbel on. So this corbel strip is damaged on one of them, as we know, but I'm still going to use it. Just put it on. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back. Not too much, I don't want it going all over the brick courses, so just be very gentle. You could probably use a little bit of another type of glue just to put it on. I'm just sticking with the wood glue for this purpose. But it could also be some damaged corbelling from many, many years of use, who knows. I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to do what I want it to do for the moment. There you go. Damaged or not, I think that looks nice. Now what I will do in the next version as well, apart from making everything slightly thinner, is to make some small panels coming down this way, just about 4 bricks wide, just to allow for the suggestion that our brick piers that will or would have been seen very much the same way as the ones at Sandling Junction are. They will be 2mm, they will be flush with this corbel here, and I think that's fine. I don't know how much farther I'm going to take that design, but I quite like the idea of that. So that is done, and that is going to be out of the way now. Let's go back to the first one of these and see, can I apply? I've measured these up, so okay, so this one is somewhat wider because there is not enough room, so that needs a bit of thinking about, because that should be there, which is offset. What it is, if you look at that and that, the difference between, no, that's not, but the difference between the box there is wrong. That base should be thinner. The overall will be thinner anyway to take the corbel line all the way down that way. But essentially, I have made one section with ends of a platform with a few extra sorting outs and tweaks and bits and pieces. Then that is going to look cock-a-hoot, as they say. There you go, everybody, one fully assembled platform, and I know it's been a very, very long video, or indeed I had thought about making this too. So this might be the part 2 of the video, or it's just a very, very long one. I do apologize either way. But I wanted to cover certain points as I did this. I wanted to put it together, wanted to see what it looked like. And I also wanted to throw out any issues that I may come across, and there have been a few. I have discussed them during the course of this video, and they will be looked at now, and I will go back into the design and tweak things, like make this thinner as it should be, and the whole of this is going to be thinner anyway, and that will allow me to have a little bit of a lip on every edge for this and the corbel. I like what we've got, and with a little bit more work and things like this, putting in a little bit more work, I think that the next version of this that I do will be a whole lot better. Now that will also include the idea of making this top detachable, so I would put the corbelling on, everything would be there. All I would do is have a magnetic setup under here, not on these, it's not required, but on this section just a magnetic top that I can then quite happily flick this off, do anything, work with the wiring, and put anything on here, snap it back on. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, as they say. There you go. And we have a viable ability to continue working on this on or off the layout in the future, with the ability to get inside this and play around with white lighting or canopies or any other thing that we want to be doing in here. We can take this section off, work on it, put this back on. We don't even need to remove this section. So yeah, it's been a lot of weeks of work one way and another, trying to decide best way of doing this, and several versions later I think we're getting closer. It's not right yet, but it is certainly getting closer. I would like a better way in my head to get these joints much closer here. They are flush, but you know, they are a gap, and I think that's just the way this timber is a gap, and that I'm not that happy with. And I want to see if I can't lessen that in a future version as well. But there you go. I'm going to leave it there. And you're probably all thinking that's good then. And yeah, I'll catch you all in the next video. I don't know when it's going to be, or how long it's going to be. I am very, very busy with many other things in my life, but I just wanted to get this one going and just see where this version took me, and then share that with you guys, and hopefully you haven't found it too boring, and we'll come back and look at the next design. And if you've got any ideas on this one, please put them in the comments section. You know, if I'm barking up the wrong tree and you think I'm being crazy with this, tell me so. I don't care. I've got broad shoulders, but at the same time I'm really happy with what's happening so far, very pleased with the outcome, and yeah, there you go. We'll see what happens. Catch you all soon. Have fun, stay safe, and enjoy your own layouts and your own railway builds. Catch you all very, very soon. Bye bye for now. Bye.